Hi, my name is Karen Holmes. I'm the founder and director of the World Peace Organization for the One World Government. In my last video, I talked about the conference in Europe and about how the frustration that people have about the fact that the world leaders never sit down and write a treaty for world peace can be resolved by looking at a new idea where it's a trickle-up idea based on our plan for world peace and how we can bring together the world leaders to not to write a treaty, but to write a constitution for an international government and what that entailed. So if you're interested in it, go ahead and look at it, and also the link that I put into that subscription or that post. So today I wanted to talk about how to get the world leaders there. The world leaders, this is not the invitation to the conference, but what would motivate them to come? Not just an invitation. Governments function based on proposals, and so this is where we are now, is the government proposals. Looking at this, if we have the conference and the idea that there's a world peace conference and we're going to work, the people are going to work to get them there. This is how it's going to come about with the government proposals. If you know the root cause of a problem, if you know the planning solution, you can find the planning process, you can find the solution. So that's what we have here. We have the root cause of the problem, and then we have the track our progress planning for each of the proposals that explains how to bring it about, how to get the world leaders to the conference in Europe, because that's the final step. It starts out with the government proposal, each government proposal, which can be read online. This chart is it's called Track Our Progress on our website, and you can just click on each of these links and find out how that works as part of the planning process. Okay, so then the first one is the government proposal that addresses the root cause, the rationale for the problem, and the plan and the root cause. Then the next one is this idea of the organization project teams and who is going to be responsible for carrying this idea through. Our organization is made up of 200 independent members, and each of us is parallel to a country. So we become, and we've had the same problems in our family that the world leaders in those nations are having. So each of us who is parallel to the country, and we assume responsibility for the project. So the focus right now has been on the exit strategy for Iraq, which is a U.S. government proposal. It's not really one for Iraq. It's to pull the United States out, how to pull the United States out of that conflict. And people will look at that and say, why do you start with that one when there are other conflicts that are so important now? Well, the reason for it is, and this is something that when Jared Kushner and Donald Trump got together and they worked on Israel isn't really the big problem in the Middle East. It might seem like it's the problem, and doing that is the problem, but it's not. The Iraq War triggered it was devolved as a genocide, and now, because it affected two major world leaders, not just a cultural genocide, basically ripples of effects have gone out, and it's created this schism that we're dealing with now. And the conflict in Iraq seems to be swept under the proverbial rug. It's still causing problems, and we're seeing the effects of it now, the ripples of effects. So we have to go back and address that root cause of the problem first. So as we go through the Track Our Progress planning, the first one is the proposal. The second one is bringing in the 200, one of the families, and actually, to begin with, we start with two of the families, and then the next one is to bringing in the the people and addressing this idea of how to open it up for debate, how to introduce the solutions in a way that people can understand. In a way, people have had books, but we've always had books available to us. We could study things, we can go to school, we can have books. But YouTube has been really good at allowing the people to come in. And that's what's important, is making the cultural changes very quickly, because people are aware of it. They can see there's this whole mass of videos that are available all the way around the world, and it's very hard to keep that quiet, although there are people who are trying to do that. And the next one is the advisory. If I'm going to share with you something, a sidebar here. When I first introduced the plans to the ambassadors in Washington, D.C. after the Iraq War, this has been going on since I sent my first government proposals out in 2003. What happened was nobody paid any attention. So what I did was I put together a website and then brought in the people. And what that did was, when I had members, and people could sign up as an affiliate member of the organization. And when I had members in 27 countries, all of a sudden the ambassadors started to listen. Right now there are people in 87 countries who like the Plan for World Peace, and it's getting attention. 2011, it was leveraged up through the diplomatic community in Washington, D.C. to the world leaders. And that's what's opened the debate with the JCPOA and bringing in Cuba and bringing in North Korea. So during Obama's administration, that's what happened. And that's in a way what set the stage for Donald Trump to come in, because he's holding on to the idea of the power. He's brought together the people who are grabbing for power and the people who don't want to be equal in the United States, to be equal to the other countries. Now, that is where the next step comes in. We can advise other countries, but then we have to purify the U.S. legal system of the problems that failed U.S. foreign policy that set the stage for all these conflicts and all these problems. The United States is a microcosm of all the cultures and religions, really. We're a melting pot. We have every culture imaginable living in our country, and if we can bring peace in the United States amongst all these cultures, then basically we can solve the problem on a global basis. It's just taking the idea to the next level. The last one is the leaders coming together for the conference, but we're hosting it because we can speak from our own experience and solve these problems. So once we start to purify the legal system, then we can take it to the conference. That's because otherwise, when we go, there'll be the President of the United States dictating terms to other people, other nations, and that isn't working. Every country is sovereign. Every country has a right to be respected, and every culture has a right to be respected. So here we have the root cause, basically, for the governments to look at. I'm a psychic, I'm a channel, and I channeled this information, and then I channeled the information, not so much on the planning process, but I'm working on I have the root cause, and then my guides gave me the planning process, and then I have to figure this out, because it started, the Plan for World Peace started at a prayer circle, and we prayed for peace. My friends and I got together every Friday night, and we prayed for peace, and then we started to get answers to our prayers, and then basically our guides told us not what to do, but how to do it, and then empowered us to assume responsibility. So here we are, we're 200 people 200 families who basically are working to bring world peace by speaking from our own perspective. And it's a really good idea. I like it. It's just going to take the rest of our lives to make it happen. Okay, but basically world peace is going to be our legacy that we're going to leave for our children and our grandchildren, rather than passing on the crises to future generations and having it take 7 generations to undo the damage we've done. We don't have to keep on going backwards when we 1 step forwards and 7 steps backwards. No, that doesn't work. Okay, so now I ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and most importantly, debate this with your family and friends. Talk about it. Do you like the idea of, if we always have 3 choices? One, let's see, heaven, hell, and purgatory. Heaven is when you have a solution to your problems. Not that you have an easy way out, that God is going to just wave a magic wand and it's going to disappear, but that you have a solution. Then it's up to you to bring it about. And it's going to take everything you've got to make it happen, so don't try to do anything until you're ready to do it, because it's going to take everything you got. Are we going to pass the problems on to future generations? What happens if these are existential threats? And the existential threats are going to wipe life off the planet, like this mass extinction event. We don't want that. No, we want world peace. We have the right to live in peace. Or are we going to go down into like a global war because people are resisting world peace and they're going to hold on to world power as much as they can? If each step is going forward 1 step, is it going to be Vladimir Putin being the next emperor of the planet? Is it going to be China? Is it going to be Donald Trump? He's going to set up himself in a structure with those people that supported him and going to rebel against everything. I think it's time for the solutions to come out, because if the world leaders don't have solutions to their problems, they're just making problems worse. Okay. So like, share, and subscribe, and most of all, join the debate. And if you can come up with a better plan, we'll do that. Okay, thank you. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the newsletters.